following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
We're not doing music today. This is a bitch fest here about that crap we saw on Saturday. The fix was in. It was 100% fixed. Everybody knows it. If you're watching the game, it was fixed. You saw it live on TV in front of your face. The fix was in. It's clear. And I'm fully convinced. I don't care what anybody says. And I know that it's ironic hearing Bam's bitch about not getting certain calls and whatnot. But that shit, pardon my language, was fixed. That was fixed from the get-go. You could tell the down marker guys, both of them getting it wrong, and then keying over there while they're saying, nope, it's fourth down. And they're like, no, I wrote it down. It's third down. I wrote it down right here. Key. No. All right. And then Mr. Ref that throws a penalty, a PI flag, a minute and a half after the play, 80 yards away, coming from across the field. Oh, guess who else was keying on the sideline earlier? That dude. Saw a picture of him. He over there keying on the sideline as well. Like, all kinds of crap went on in that game. The targeting, the hit to the face, the no call. It was all a bunch of BS. I'm calling it. The fix was in. It was clear. It was a scrub ball, no-name ref crew for the biggest game in the SEC all year. It was the crew that was on that game last year where all that stuff went wrong. I'm telling you right now, the fix was in. That's my opening soliloquy. Everybody, grab your drinks. Shout out to Nick and Pete at ATG Cast. My boys, my podfathers, here's to y'all. Brown liquor, eyeballs and opinions. Let's go. Because I'm fired up.
Well, gentlemen, do you have anything to ask, Fonzie? Or anything to
That
say,
was atrocious.
Fonzie, Murph?
I mean, we played like shit. I think that needs to be mentioned too. Can't just
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't about the refs, but that game was fixed. But yeah, we played like dirt.
But we'll say this: if the referees got the calls they should have got right, including that fumble they blew down way early, that bullshit pass interference.
Right. One of three turnovers we had taken away from us. Continue.
Yeah, all that garbage. We would have won that game by 3 touchdowns.
Tell me this. Answer me this. What's the score of that game if all that was reversed? If Tennessee has 17 penalties, if Tennessee has 3 turnovers taken away, if Tennessee has all these phantom PIs and Bama doesn't get a single holding call on them, tell me what the score of that game is.
I'd say probably 56.
Right. Is
21.
Is there anybody else who else makes a game out of that with that much stacked against them?
No one.
I mean, our defense is ass. Pete Golding is trash. I mean, that guy sucks. But we still should have won that game. I mean, it was crazy.
It's almost impressive that the score was that close with all the amount of penalties that we had.
Yeah.
And the fact that we didn't have any injured players. That also shocked
Bull crap. You tell me Will Anderson never gets held once in a game like that? Never got held once? Right. I
just don't understand our game plan going in defensively.
I don't either.
2 things. Put
I'm telling you.
in Hooker and stop the deep ball. We did neither of those.
Oh my God!
All day Saturday.
That didn't do either.
The ball when they weren't throwing 15 yards downfield. They
didn't do either, man. It was bullcrap. That Pete Golding strategy of not cover anyone doesn't work.
It's awful. They're always.
I mean, this is 3 years of us losing games like this. Losing a game every year where our defense looks like shit. We turn the ball over, and every year we lose a game like this. For like the last 3 years, 2020 is an exception because they weren't going to lose anybody. But I mean, it's every year of Golding we have a game like this.
It just felt like every drive, they're like, oh, there's another fucking 40 yards.
Yeah. Yes.
Easy dinger. Like, what was the thought process?
And Hooker missed 3 or 4 wide open throws. I mean, they're liable to bunk 70 on a Saturday if Hooker doesn't overthrow, 2 or 3 of those guys. They're liable to have 70 points on like 25 plays. And
yeah,
at whatever the low time of possession was because they move so fast. Time of possession, they don't ever have a high time of possession. But at one point, they only ran like 20-something plays and had 40-something points.
They had the ball for 22 minutes Saturday.
Yes, okay, 22 minutes and scored 52 points.
I know.
They had their first 3 scoring drives were under 2 minutes. Under 2 minutes.
I mean, that's unbelievable. That is
40
unbelievable.
yards, and
You
there
need
you go.
one stop. You need one incompletion. You need a quarterback pressure. You need something. Slows them down a little bit.
Yes, slows them down a little
We
bit.
could
You're right.
do it. It was terrible.
You're right. We needed just to run the ball twice on the last series and make them use their 2 timeouts so they wouldn't have a timeout to call to kick the game-winning field goal. Pretty simple, right? Incomplete, drop pass, incomplete, missed field goal. I mean, as soon as the ball left his foot, it was 10 feet wide right. I'm like, oh, great. Now our best kicker ever is a head case now. He's missed 3 out of his last 4 kicks.
If Gibbs would have caught that ball,
He'd still be running. I mean, everything is fine if the best player on our team, besides Bryce, catches an easy ball, which he's been doing all year. We would have been crap in that game without him. I mean, if not for Bryce, obviously, but if not for MJG, we would have been screwed.
And I can't hold it in anymore.
Maverick,
Can't.
unleash. What grinds your gears, Maverick? What grinds?
Well, you know what really grinds my gears, guys?
Peter
what
Griffin?
really grinds my gears, gentlemen, is that been in the position. Well, let's talk about the last drive before Reichard misses the kick. You passed the ball 3 times. Gibbs should have caught it. Yes. No doubt about it. Should have caught it. But guess what? He was also one of our leading receivers that night, too.
Yeah.
Where is our other help? I don't know where Burton is. I don't know where Holden is.
I'm done with that guy. Holden and Burton, I'm done with both of them.
They're too busy doing this bullshit right here on the phone. Oh, I've got anxiety. I've got anxiety watching you play football.
Right.
That's what I've got.
They were nervous before the game started. When was the last time you ever saw that?
Apparently their buttholes were this tight that they could turn charcoal into diamonds or coal into diamonds, however you say it. You know what? Let me just break it down for you. You want to talk about excessive penalties? Excessive penalties. 17 penalties, yes, egregious.
We had 8 in the first quarter.
I rewatched the game. I rewatched the entire game, and I watched it on Sunday. Believe it or not, those people out there.
Thank you for your service.
I watched it on Sunday, a day after as we call the fix. We call it the fix
yes,
now.
The fix was in.
The fix. I'm going to refer that as the fix. The game
Derpy, it was fixed. You know it.
6 to 8 of them were true. Yes, undisciplined team, but we'll circle around back to the undisciplinedness, or whatever you want to call it there. But the fact of the matter is, the first 2 scoring drives of Tennessee, where they just scored a touchdown like it was nothing. It was like cutting through butter, as they say.
Right, and they went right down the field.
2 of those on 2 of those drives, missed calls by the referees, holding on Chris Braswell, and
which time? You gotta be more specific when you mention non-holding calls on Braswell or Will Anderson. You gotta be more specific.
It wasn't even like it was a slight hold. The man was being held by his stomach with 2 hands.
Isaiah Bond also seconds that. You know, the guy that got his face mask ripped off in midair while he was going up for a pass. No call. Nothing. Don't see nothing. See nothing.
I've got
if Gary doesn't see it, it's not a penalty.
You're correct, Murph. If Gary doesn't agree with it, it ain't a penalty. And if you listen to Gary, Tennessee was flawless on Saturday.
Gary will never leave you astray, baby.
Never lead you astray, baby.
And that's
who he pulls for.
Well, there's another thing too. How about this? After the game, Peyton Manning, he has every freaking right to go celebrate a game like that with the Tennessee football team. But when I see Desmond
Captain
Howard,
Forehead? No.
Yeah, Epic
Desmond
Forehead.
Howard? Who?
He's in the locker room with Peyton Manning smoking a stogie. I was like, you're an analyst. You were supposed to be non-biased, and you were in there Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you got
Hey, this is the same. This is the same dipshit that picked Texas A&M to be in the playoffs.
Pittsburgh.
I was just gonna say, Desmond Howard's not even an analyst. Just let him have his fun.
He's not even
He'll
an
be
analyst.
losing his job.
He
soon
won the
anyway.
Heisman like 40 years ago, and he's still living off that.
You say A&M. What was more egregious is he had Michigan, Pitt, and Baylor as the other 3 teams.
Baylor
This
sucks.
dude literally loaded up his Xbox 360 and simulated a season on NCAA Football 14. and said,
Xbox 360.
"That's
Well
my
done.
playoff
He
field."
got in his time machine.
Crazy.
I didn't know he picked Pitt post Kenny Pickett. He picks Pitt. Wow.
Yeah.
Just because they beat Tennessee last year, right? They beat.
They
Tennessee
should have beat him this year. They had him dead to rights this year, and they blew it.
Yep.
The fact of the matter
Familiar
is
story.
Crazy enough, we did not get called for a targeting in that game.
Neither did they, even though they launched and hit Bryce in the face.
There we go. And I have to double down. I'm not going to call it double down. I have to agree with Saban on what he said. And guess what? The ruling came back today from the SEC office. They said it should have been called, and it should.
Of course they did. That's what they freaking do. They show up on Wednesday and go, "Yep, you're right. Should have been targeting. Oh well." Next.
And that's the thing you have to look at too. The targeting rule has changed this year. Okay, it is not this part. They are making it specifically the top of the helmet. So with that, as someone who played defense, they have now given a little bit more of an advantage to make a proper tackle. Not an advantage, to allow the defense to make a proper tackle. So if that's the case, you're talking about launching into a player, which this defensive tackle, you can see it in the video. He knows when the ball is released, and he still did it. And you're supposed to, and there's another rule about trying to protect quarterbacks. They
watched the replay for 10 minutes.
Nobody
came back and went, nope, no penalty, no targeting, no late hit, no roughing the passer, incomplete, second down, move on. That's what after 10 minutes.
I'm
kidding me.
Watching this. I hope whoever's watching this has to see and has to know this, that was. It's not even just being a Bama fan at that point. You have to protect players like that. I mean, let them just tee off. Let's let them end up like Tua getting back-to-back concussions or something like that.
No, that's because they protect the NFL quarterbacks. College kids, they don't give 2 rips about. They couldn't care less.
Agreed.
That's my rant on the no calls. Oh, and on that one that PI you're talking about, Kool-Aid was at the 40 when he threw that flag in the end zone.
Yes, the other 40.
Your yard line. 40, and it wasn't even the judge that was on that side.
No, he came from across the field. And it came from the other side. That's what I'm saying. It makes it's bullcrap. It makes no sense.
They should not have a job. And now what I found out is that these conferences don't have assigned or specific crews for specific games. Depending on that, I heard they're part-time. That shit's got to end. I'm sorry for the language, but that's got to end. We've got to have an A crew, a B crew, and a C crew, a D crew, okay?
Right. You can't have the crap crew for the biggest game in the league unless they're bought and paid for. Thank you. I mean, it's too easy. This conspiracy is too easy. They're leading me right to it. I don't even have to think about it.
It does blow my mind, though.
Yeah. Go
ahead, Scott.
As a league, Greg Sankey doesn't step in and say, hey, they should not be doing that. They should not be doing that game. I had trouble with them 2 years ago.
Right.
They weren't great last year.
Thank you.
What the fuck are they even doing on that field center?
Thank you.
They should have been doing Georgia and Vandy.
Yeah,
right. They should have been doing their homework at the house. They shouldn't be anywhere near an SEC game. They belong in the ACC or the Pac-12. That's where they can really go.
You can rep the ECU Pirates.
Yes. Break. Give me a break. It was the biggest bunch of BS I've ever seen. It was live on TV right in front of your face. For 10 minutes, they watched the video of the dude hitting Bryce. You could see his face mask go and his head turn as he gets hit. And they looked at it umpteen times. And then he comes back and goes, no flag, incomplete, second down. So we got nothing. Not only did we not get the late hit, we didn't get the roughing the passer or the targeting. We just got incomplete, second down. And then they had the holding on Jace's touchdown. There were 12 Tennessee players in the field. They called us for holding.
Yeah, you wonder why there was holding, because there was 12 damn people on the field.
We had to. We had no choice, and still scored. They said, nope, holding. We saw it. And all that muckus, we saw 55 holding that guy. Like homie in the corner saying, oh, yeah, I saw Malachi clearly interfere. Even though the guy caught the ball, okay, he had the ball in his hand, and Malachi punched it out. And it went up in the air, and that's when Kool-Aid picked it. So how's that pass interference if he catches it and Malachi punches it out? How's that pass interference?
And the ball was underthrown. I don't know.
And that's something that's got to be changed.
But the guy hit the ground. The ball was underthrown.
What's up, Nick? Here's my brown liquor. This is my boy Nick. Sports Ball Talkers, brown liquor. Eyeballs opinions. All right. Sorry, Scott. Continue.
Nothing. The ball.
Nick, if you're just tuning in, we're griping about the referees in the Bama-Tennessee game. Okay, sorry, Scott.
You're good. I mean, the ball was underthrown. I don't know what you expect a defender to do.
This, okay. Here's another rant I'm about to go on. Okay, so at what point can we revise this pass interference rule where every deep ball now the quarterback just throws it short and they know they're going to get the penalty like every time? So I can't stand that where the quarterback sucks so bad that he jelly arms it and winds up with a penalty on the guy because it's such a bad throw. Now it's our DB's technique of never turning around for the ball. If we ever turned around for the ball, we'd probably have 50 interceptions, but they never turn around for the ball.
Unfortunately, that's the way they're coached to not do it.
Yeah, they're coached to engage with the receiver till the end. Turn around and intercept the ball. Anyway.
And, I don't know.
It was.
Obviously, everybody knows that anybody in high school who played, they're not going to know as much as the GOAT Nick Saban, okay? We already know that.
He's forgotten more than I'll ever know, but I'm allowed to drink and complain.
I was not coached that way to play it as a defensive back or safety or as a cornerback or safety. I don't... Having my back to...
Touche, Nick. Touche. Touche.
Actually, was the UT win. Good job. All right.
Touche, Nick. Touche.
I just wasn't coached that way. You always have to at least give your chance to turn back at the ball.
Yes. And when you see the receiver slow down and their eyes get big and their arms go up, maybe they're going up for the ball.
Exactly. And I've seen a lot of referees or a lot of calls that end up saying no PI because the defensive back has his head looking back at the ball to make an attempt at it.
Right.
Because he has equal right, all right? He has equal right to go for that football as a wide receiver does. That's
not in the SEC, baby. They throw them flags. They'll be crow hopping throwing them flags like a right fielder throwing home. They'll get that crow hop and they'll even do like Eric Burns used to do and they'll like roll. When they throw the flag, they'll like roll on the ground. The overthrower will roll them on the ground. It was BS. Anybody with eyeballs saw that. And opinions, which is the theme of the show, eyeballs and opinions. But yes, plenty of eyeballs, plenty of opinions. The fix was in. Tennessee got what they wanted. Everybody wins. The Bama fatigue set in. Whatever. Hopefully we'll play them again in the SEC championship game if they can beat Georgia. Excuse me. That's a big if. I don't know if they can beat Georgia. Georgia crushed Vanderbilt like they should have. Georgia had a little bit of a tough time a couple weeks there in a row, but Tennessee's legit, man. Tennessee got speed. Tennessee, we got ride outed, if that's a word. What we did for 4 years with the ride outs to everybody else, we just got the script flipped on us Saturday. Because that number 11 for Tennessee is a ride out because he ran right by us and rode out.
The number one wide receiver for them.
No. The dude was covered by our safety and our third and fourth string DBs. He had 5 touchdowns on 6 catches for 200 yards. Pete Golding does nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
more brown liquor,
I did
Nick.
Mention, I mentioned on those first 2 drives on the holding that were no calls. I'll change the tune now. On the deep balls themselves, even if the call is not there, terrible, terrible defensive coverage and playing on the ball. As a safety, you're one goal, and maybe this is in Pete Golding's defense where this just doesn't.
Isn't that the name of your position? Safety.
You don't give up the deep ball. You've got one job. Never give up the deep ball. Keep everything in front
That
of
is
you.
not the Golding way. The Golding way is A-gap blitz with Henry,
Big 12 defense.
removing him, opening the middle of the field up, and get the quick slants until they gash us deep. That's the Golding
Have y'all heard this
formula.
Jalen Moody news by chance? Have y'all heard about any of that today?
Wasn't it like a kidney something?
Well, yeah, he was able to go. He played on Saturday. You know how many plays he played?
One.
Played one snap.
Why?
And so something
Lawson,
came out today.
I like Deontay Lawson, but he was out of position several times. There was one play where he and Tutu were like standing right next to each other in the defensive formation. I'm like,
something came out today. It was a former coach of apparently Jalen Moody, where he was told, and if for anybody go on Twitter or something like that, that's where I saw it. Look this up, because this coach came out and said one of my former players, Moody, went into Golding's office and told him to fuck off, saying, "I'm one of those dogs. I'm one of those people who needs to be out there. You have people coming in here and just starting who haven't put in the effort to play." And it leads me into my next thing.
yeah.
And y'all can agree with it. Y'all can disagree with it. That's the whole point of this. Papa Ely, my father, brought in this, and I have to have a shout out to Mike Ely on that one, so he'll love this. So this was, of all the things, I don't listen to Paul Feinbaum right now, okay? His credibility went out about 10 years ago. Now he's just a TV person. So let's just keep it at that. However, this quote that came out, it was on Bama Online, but it's from the Feinbaum show. Whew. The quote is on Saban losing control of his players and discipline. We've seen it before, but what we saw Saturday, to me, reeked of NIL. To me, that was Nick Saban saying out loud what a lot of us have speculated, that he is struggling with where we are right now in college football today. He's not getting through like he used to, and that speaks for itself. Before anyone else says he has lost a step, which I don't think he has, he may have lost a connection with the team that he used to have, where he was intimidating, where he was feared, and now players could very well be saying, you know what, screw it. I'll go somewhere else to like a Tennessee. I don't have to listen to this guy screaming at me. I can go to Tennessee and play for a low-key guy like Josh Heupel. End quote. I actually agree with that statement, because
for once, that makes sense.
I'm seeing on the defense. I don't think these players give two shits about putting on a Bama uniform. It's not like the players from 5 or 10 years ago. NIL, and I don't get me wrong, I do think college athletes need to be compensated to a certain extent. You've now
I agree with that.
The Wild West.
I agree with that.
And it is polluted. It has really polluted college football. Everybody's seeing it. Everybody wants more playoff games, right? That's what they want, more playoff games. Who gives a crap about the smaller schools? Who gives a crap about tradition?
Money, 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 baby. Tickets, TV deals. That's $1 billion. And we get 3 more weeks of playoffs? How much? Who wants to televise it? We'll start taking bids.
And if that statement is true about Moody going into Golding's office, which rightfully so, I like to see that kind of fire in a player. I'd like that guy on my team. But you're talking about a guy who came back from an injury last year. He didn't have to come back. He could have transferred. He could be a starter and play every dang down.
Well, he waited to see what Christian Harris was going to do. And when Harris declared for the draft, Moody stayed. Had Harris come back, Moody would have left.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that, but that's just my guess.
I think so,
and that's the thing. I think.
But Moody's been the only one that's hit anybody. Am I tripping? Or is Moody the only one that's been busting chops? Like Reuben Foster, like the wrecking ball.
We need a Reuben Foster. We need a Ronnie Harrison. We need
and Moody's that guy.
Moody's the one that hits like a brick shithouse. I don't understand why he's not playing.
I'm sorry. After I know Jeff already didn't like Tua, and I've already been on the down train. I thought he was going to be a change because he was smart. He had the experience. But guess what? You know what? After the game, and I saw, you know what? I'm going to agree that little play where that knee to the helmet on that Tennessee player, if anybody's seen it, maybe it was egregious. Maybe he did it on purpose. And you know what? If that's the case, then he doesn't need to be out there. Okay?
Game-changing interception, and he drops it. Had it in his hands, had it clutched in both hands, and somehow he dropped it. What are you doing? Freaking Tutu overruns every play. He's like the blister. That's why I call him the blister, because he shows up after the work's done on every play. Now, he made a tackle here and there. He made a couple tackles in the hole. But if you look, he overruns every lane. He's constantly overrunning his lanes. He takes terrible angles. The angles he takes at running backs are terrible. I mean, these guys are getting the corner and the edge on him because the angles he takes are terrible. Ugh. I mean, and granted, every angle he takes is better than any angle that I would take. You know, let me just say here. But the premise of the show is eyeballs and opinions, and I got a lot of them. I got 2 eyeballs and a bunch of opinions, and that's what I saw. I see that. When they show it in slow motion, you see him take bad angles. You see him late on every play. You see no physical presence from the middle linebacker position. Like you said, Scott, where is the Reuben Foster guy, the wrecking ball, the one that will blow your ass up? That is Jalen Moody. Now, maybe he can't do the defense. Maybe the defense is too complicated to keep him out there all the time. But that dude sees ball and hits ball.
And he's been here 6 years.
Yes. He's like 36.
System 3 or 4 years. So he's got to know something. He's got to know more than Deontay Lawson, which we've already said. No problem with him. He's fine. Jalen Moody needs to be out there.
Agreed. Lawson's going to be a stud. All right, he's going to be a flat-out stud. I have no doubt. I love what I've seen from Deontay Lawson. But this season, Moody is the only attitude we have on that team. Not that he's like the vocal leader, but he's the one that blows people up. And this defense needs somebody to show up and blow somebody up. Like even fellas, even on that sack of Hooker. It was like they wrapped him up and then they like gently laid him down and like tucked him in, you know, and made sure his jersey was straight, you know. I'm like, pile drive that son of a bitch, man. I don't care if we get to 15 yards, like unleash.
I was just going to say, and you talked about To'o and that little thing he did to Hooker. I don't mind shit like that. That means you're bringing some passion to the field.
Give me
as long
attitude.
As you're not doing it at any drive. But if you go out there and you take a penalty like that, at least you're playing with some heart. I don't want to see you go and like step on a guy's throat.
Yeah.
We need passion.
Totally with you.
As good as Will Anderson is, he doesn't bring it right now. He doesn't.
He was completely invisible Saturday.
He doesn't bring any energy. He goes out there and plays because he wants to cut his paycheck next year.
Yeah. I mean, he's a tough.
He had 17 and a half sacks last year.
He's not even sniffing.
He wasn't a factor on Saturday. I don't know if it's scheme-wise because they keep stunting him to the inside, and then he gets gobbled up by a guard tackle. But I'm like, put him out on the edge and let him use his speed on these big, fat left offensive tackles. Let him use his speed and his athletic ability. Stop stunning him into the muck, into the center guard. You know, defensive lineman, you know, muck hole. Get him on the outside. Let him use his speed, his athleticism, his angles, the way he can get up under the block of a tackle. You know, it's like watching Von Miller again when they put him out there and let him rush. But they keep stunting him like Tutu stunt. You know, that A-gap blitz they do with Henry all the time that never works. He never gets in the backfield. He gets taken out of the play. I mean, ridiculous. Right. And so that's why I'm like, put Will on the outside where he can use his speed and his athleticism and his agility. But, you know, he's not a bull rusher. He's not Jonathan Allen.
I saw some really funky shit, too, with our pass rush. I mean,
It's weird.
A lot of that, and just a lot of like
weird
rushing
stunts, like them stunting around, like going like this, but not
maybe
getting any
it's
pressure.
Just too difficult of a defense. I think maybe that's the idea. We have to go back to a simpler defense. I
think the offense is the same way. You notice Tennessee running plays like clockwork, baby. I mean, they were just bang, 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 and Bama gets in the line, and Bryce having to call out protections for 40 seconds and run up to the line and run back and stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, ball, and the next. First down, whatever. The next time he lines up, clocks when he runs up to the line, he does all this, steps back, looks around, runs up the line again. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, height, go. It's like every freaking snap is like that.
You can tell they literally could not hear him whatsoever.
And the only way it's not like that is when we go into 2-minute offense. That's when we are the most success. That's when our offense really looks the best. Is when we're in our 2-minute no huddle, 2-minute offense. Then Ja'Cory Brooks makes plays. Like, it's legit, man.
Kobe Prentice looked really good.
Kobe Prentice looked good.
I just want to... Shit, I forget what I was going to say. We went
on.
Well,
I was going to say, eyes to watch this week, and I know we've got a bye week coming up soon. Does anybody know when that is?
It's next weekend, right?
Next week, yeah. It's next week. Yeah.
We play Miss State and then get the bye and then LSU.
Then Ole Miss after that. Austin P and old Auburn Tigers. Which, hey, I'll give the Auburn Tigers a shout-out this week. You gave more fight than I've ever seen all season.
And Parker's out. So you give Auburn a shout-out in this show, you're gone.
It's the
rule. I'm just kidding,
y'all. Still lost, though.
That's great.
And he's gone.
And he's gone.
You mentioned up.
Oh, I forgot that.
Just kidding, Nick. Love you, Nick. Here's a shout out to Nick. He's a big Auburn fan.
Oh man.
I bet some of these Auburn fans are laughing at all this Bam's pissing and moaning about crappy play and stupid penalties and referees and all that stuff because that's been their whole existence for 50 years. I don't know, but I bet they're laughing at us now, and they should be because a Bam meltdown is like no other.
It's pretty bad.
Especially considering we lived through the Shula years and the Mike Price month and a half, which I got his autograph on a hat. Yeah, that's true. I do have his autograph on a hat.
Pretty cool.
And then he got fired like 2 weeks later. And I was like, hey, Mikey, what did you get fired for? Oh, hooking in Pensacola. Mikey.
Oh, no way. I do that once a week.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's like, oh, that's illegal here? I mean, I'm from Washington, up in Pacific Northwest Washington, man. They pass those out like, like cotton candy.
White on rice, man.
Yeah,
it was. What I wanted to say. It's back.
All right, you got it.
Jordan Battle sat in the box the whole fucking game. Did you guys
really?
Notice that? He was in the box a ton.
Was he?
Sometimes would have Helms there too. And we wonder why we get burned on the back end. It's like, and everyone's ripping Helms apart. I don't want to blame him for Saturday because I think our coaches failed him.
Agreed. They put him in terrible positions.
He had no chance. He never should have been covering that guy one-on-one. And they put him out there on an island.
Even if we had Marlon Humphrey and Minka back there.
I would say the only person that would have been able to cover him at one-on-one was Minka. Of all the defensive backs that we've had.
I mean, it wasn't fair. I mean, granted, Helm sucks, but it was not fair. They put him in a position to fail. You're not supposed to do that as coaches. You're supposed to put your team in a position to succeed, not fail. And Golding constantly puts them in positions to fail.
Guys, what do you do as a coaching staff? Is there some kind of
Saban has fired. Yeah, Saban has fired worse guys for a lot less than this. And this is year 3 of the Golding BS. Why does St. Nick hang on to this guy? Like, he fired Kiffin right before we kicked off the national championship game. But he's holding on to Pete Golding for 3 years. Like, what is happening?
He'd be great in the Pac-12 or Big Ten or Pac-12 or Big 12.
The guy looks like a fraternity brother of mine 10 years ago.
I mean, he recruits, but
But that's the problem.
He
recruits, but there's no development.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. We miss Bo Davis on the defensive line.
Yep.
We desperately miss him on the defensive line because if you'll notice, every time they ran the ball at the middle, they would get 5 yards of push, and then they would fall forward 5 yards. When has that ever happened at Bama since Saban's been there? It's been you hit the defensive line and either you're done or you're getting knocked back. You don't drag 4 defensive linemen 5 more yards and wind up with a 2nd and 2 instead of a 2nd and 10.
This also goes back to the refs, though, because we very clearly had a fumble that they blew dead right away.
That was. Have you ever heard a quicker whistle in your life? They blew the whistle before anybody hit the guy. It felt like.
Hand on the trigger.
I mean, they blew that damn whistle as soon as they saw that him ripped up there. Beep, 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 beep. What about when Tennessee had too many men or false start or something, and the refs came on and waved it off and said, "No, we weren't ready. Redo. Ball wasn't ready. Redo." I know they had 12 men and false started, about 4 penalties on the play, but redo. We weren't ready. Redo. What?
They almost gave them 5 downs twice.
We stopped them on 4th down, and they go, "Nope, false start. Redo."
And the guy setting the downs on the sideline, we talked about this already.
Yes!
That stupid smug-ass smirk.
Yes! Freaking smiling. Him over there kiki-keying.
He's kiki-keying, guys.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, no, I wrote it down. You can see him. He's going, I wrote it down. I wrote it right here. No, that's 3rd down. I wrote it down. Yeah, suck it, pal. This thing called, we had to challenge the freaking play for that. We had to challenge the down, what down it was. Idiots. And both of them, 2 of them, one on each side of the field, had them both 3rd down. So don't tell me that everything was on the up and up. I'm sorry. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Before.
That was surprising.
Both of them. If one of them was 3 and one of them was 4th down, you say, okay, that's a legitimate mistake.
Yeah, that's fair.
Both of them had 3rd down. Gotta be kidding me with this. Oh my gosh, man. I was furious. Oh, jeez. Still am. It's Wednesday. But, and I don't know why I get so surprised because, like I said, we lose a game like this every year. This is Texas A&M last year. This is LSU of 2019. Who do we lose to in 18? Clemson in the championship game. They blew us out in 18. 17, we lost to, Ole Miss? Did we lose to Ole Miss in 17? I mean, every year.
No, not Ole Miss. I can't remember what 17 was.
We lost to somebody in 17.
Yes, we did.
Wasn't Clemson in the championship game? Was that our only loss of the year? Were we undefeated up until then?
Auburn.
No, because 17 we played. Auburn. That was the 18 championship.
We got beat by Auburn, and Auburn went to the SEC championship.
That's right,
by Georgia, which propelled us to the playoff, and we won it all.
To Auburn.
Okay, that was 18. Okay.
Yeah. And 18, we only lost 1 game.
No, we lost.
That was what was the game that we lose in 18, Parker?
That was the
national championship. We didn't lose a game regular season in 18.
Okay, so we were undefeated and then and got blown out by Clemson.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then 19, that's 2 his last year. He got hurt, so we
lost to Auburn and LSU that year.
Auburn and LSU, and then yep.
Yeah, because I remember Mac Jones started that Auburn game, and I remember thinking we are so screwed next year with this guy at quarterback.
Killed it. He did fine. And then he did fine against Michigan.
He did fine, save for 2 plays, and one of them was a terrible play call.
Well, it was. If we're talking about the bounce off the back of Najee Harris's head or back, that's a freak one. The one where he throws it directly to Smoke Monday, and the guy takes it back 30, 40 yards for a touchdown. That's on the quarterback.
He threw 2 pick sixes in 1 game. That's that Jordan Hare voodoo, man. I'm telling you, weird stuff happens there.
Always,
dude. I was at the stupid Ed Sissom game. You guys are probably like 2 years old when that happened. But anybody at my age knows the name Ed Sissom, and they know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm looking
1996. Go look it up.
I wasn't even born.
Year I was born.
I was 20.
So I was a couple months old.
Oh, you kids here. Jeez. Can any of you even drink?
Empty glass.
Yeah, go Google 96 Iron Bowl, Ed Sissom. Let me know. Next week we'll bring it up.
going to write that one down.
The offensive coordinator who called the plays for this game was none other than Bruce Arians. Just a little small nugget there.
Super Bowl winning.
Yes, Super Bowl winning head coach literally called these plays at the end of this Iron Bowl that lost us the game. But anyway, like I said, you guys were twinkles in your parents' eye.
It says Alabama.
What's that?
I was being
It says
born
Alabama
that year.
won in 96.
Maybe it was 97. Maybe it was a 97 Iron Bowl then.
Yeah, I'll track this down. I'm curious.
It was the Jared Holmes game where Jared Holmes kicked the winning field goal. But the BS was we had the ball, Auburn got no timeouts, and Arians is calling pass plays, and we throw a screen pass to the fullback who fumbles it. Auburn recovers, runs 2 plays, kicks a winning field goal. Auburn wins.
Yeah, I'm reading about it right now.
Yeah, that's the infamous Ed Sissom game. Any Bama fan in their 40s, if you mention Ed Sissom, they'll know exactly. You just watch their face go, because that's what mine does. Because I was there.
Holmes
Bullcrap.
and teammates were experiencing nightmare flashbacks of '96 Iron Bowl.
I wasn't in the stadium, but I was in Auburn. We were watching the game in my friend's apartment that went to school there, like right outside the stadium. And of course, he's a big Auburn fan. So when they won, they all wanted to go to Toomer's Corner. So I went with them because I'm only going to stay there by myself. And it was awful. It was terrible. Screw that place. I'll never go back there again for a football game ever for any reason.
For any reason.
Fair. Never been.
I did say that about Baton Rouge too, and that dump. But I actually, I had a good time a couple weekends ago when I went as an impartial fan. Got a sneak peek of Tennessee, which I came back going, yeah, they're good. They're good. They run fast offense, fast pace, a lot of plays. They're really good. But I think we can get them. The quarterback's he's not the end all be all that everybody thinks. I think we can get him. And then we gave up 52 points to him. Thank you, Pete Golding. Gave up 48 or 40-something points last year to the A&M backup quarterback. Thank you, Pete Golding.
I was just gonna say, everyone's talking about Hendon Hooker being Heisman front runner right now. I don't think he had that great of a game Saturday.
He wasn't. I mean, his stat sheet looked impressive.
We gave him a lot,
but we gave him a lot.
3 receptions that went for 78 plus.
He should have had those stats the way we were playing defense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when one of your receivers has 200-something receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, he better
on
have
6 catches.
5 touchdowns, had 6 catches. That means he only dropped, or only one of them was not a touchdown catch.
Let's see. I'm going to tell you exactly.
Insanity.
I'm going to tell you exactly what this dude averaged. He had 207 yards receiving on 6 catches. That's 34.5 yards per catch. Come on! Are you kidding me? Against the University of Alabama, a Nick Saban-led defense, this man averaged 35 yards a catch. You got to be kidding me. What universe am I in?
I mean, the last thing I'll say on it is more so on the NIL track and transfer portal with everything changing so much drastically in the past 2 to 3 years in college football. I was hopeful that Saban would stay to the end of the contract. I'm now very doubtful that happens, actually. I know, what has he got? He's got to 2028. That's how many years?
28 when his contract's
6 years.
Up.
Got 6 years. I say he only coaches another 3. If this is how fast, if that article is indeed true, that the game, it's not that he's lost anything; it's he's losing control because of how everything is handled now. He can't be mean or intimidating, and if that's the case, then you're basically just doing NFL stuff all over again. I mean,
you guys tell me if you agree with this. 2011 Nick Saban would have blown a gasket in that game Saturday.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not even close.
With how terrible the officiating was, the bullcrap calls, all that BS, all the penalties.
He would have gotten kicked out of the game.
He's liable to have had a heart attack on the sideline in that game. That's the guy that I was praying for Saturday. I'm like, where is he? Where is that guy? Like, these penalties are ridiculous. Where's the guy chewing ass, like freaking out? I didn't see any of that. I just saw arms folding and a bunch of hand clapping. So I don't know, man. I don't know where that guy is from 2011. That's the Saban I wanted. I needed Saturday because those guys. It was egregious. It was so obvious.
It's not that long ago. That was everybody was like, oh, that was 10 years ago. That's really not that long. He's only 71, 72.
You know, Elias. How old is he, Fonzie? You know?
He's only, I think he's in his 70s.
70 years old. He will be
70.
He was
young
60.
70, baby. He got 10, 12 years more going.
He was 60 when he was doing that. You telling this, hey, I know you mellow with age, but someone like him, you're not going to mellow that much, okay? Not like that in 10 years.
I don't need mellow Saban. I need the guy I hated. All those years he was at LSU, I hated him. Used to make fun of him because all his coaches quit after 1 year because they hated him so bad. And then he came to Bama, and I built a statue of him in my yard. And I'm like, all right, give me the guy that gets rid of coach because this is the worst. This appears to be the worst staff we've had in a decade.
That's what I was just going to say, though. I don't think he acts that way anymore because he doesn't have anyone he can trust. He had Kirby Smart on his sideline for 8 seasons.
Thank you.
Go get Jeremy.
He could blow a gasket.
Go get Pruitt. Okay. There's nothing as bad.
Why do you think Bob is sitting up in the booth because he knows Saban will choke him out for some of these bullcrap play calls?
And I really don't. Right now, I really don't care about the Jeremy Pruitt stuff. That everything happened there. He did.
That's minor. That's minor. That's nothing
compared to a lot of the stuff that actually probably went on in the early 2000s to 2010s to 2015s all throughout college football, okay?
Call Bo Davis tonight. He'll be on the first plane, I'm telling you. Sitting over there in Texas. Remember what Bo Davis' defensive line did to us in that Texas game. Remember that.
They were good.
Problem is, I think Texas could actually outbid us.
Well, they can outbid everybody.
We got money, but they got different kind of money.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing I will say. You keep bringing up NIL, and I agree it's a huge factor. A&M is benefiting immensely from it, and they still suck. And I don't think it's getting much better.
But that's also another thing.
So I think you're kind of stretching a little bit. Coaching still matters. I think April is
totally
changing offense in college football the same way Joe Burrow did and Joe Brady did at LSU and that team.
Call Brady. God, Bob's going to be gone this year. Call Joe Brady and say, hey, come down here. We got Ty Simpson. Yeah. The guy can sling it left and right. Let's do it, baby.
What I will say is I do agree with you that I think Nick Saban will get sick of it. I don't know. I'm not going to try to predict a timeline. But he adjusts really well. He adjusts really fast. I think the biggest issue is staff problems. I don't think it's necessarily player issues. I think Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien have a large responsibility when it comes to motivating these players and getting them ready to play.
Preach.
And they're not doing it.
Preach.
I think it's hard to blame, Saban's changed, but I think it's hard to blame him in this situation when he doesn't have a staff that can prop him up. I'm not saying he needs propped up, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, a lot of those years that he won a national championship, he had a good staff. He had to have a very good staff.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a Kirby Smart. He
definitely doesn't have a Kirby Smart. Definitely doesn't have a damn Kirby Smart. Jeez.
I mean, this is the toughest situation he's had in a long time.
In my opinion, the OC position at Bama is a 2-year job. Normally, because you're so successful in those 2 years, you get a head job. Not that Bob has been hugely successful, but he's, the stat sheet has been filled up nice. So I think he's going to get a head job somewhere. He's not a coordinator. He's a head guy. And that opens the door for Brady, man. I mean, if Joe Brady can come in and call plays like he did for Burrow in 19 for Ty Simpson next year, I mean, I'm assuming – I'm just saying that like I'm assuming Ty's going to start unless Milroe learns how to throw. But I'm telling you, I love Jalen Milroe's athletic ability. I'm done with the athletic quarterbacks that you might get a decent throw here and there. Give me the Mac Jones, big slow guy that can't run but stays in the pocket and will kill you with his arm. That's the guy. Give me that guy. I don't need the guy that can rip off a 70-yard run every now and then, and miss 5 or 6 easy throws, and then you might get your 50-yard run or something. I'm tired of that. I want the guy that'll stand in the pocket, go through his progressions, and throw the football. And Ty Simpson did that in the A-Day game like a badass.
He did look really good in spring.
He looked great in the spring. Now, everybody looks great in the spring. Not everybody, but it's easy to look good in the spring. So many rule constrictions. Milroe looked like Michael Vick in the spring. But okay. I'm telling you, Simpson's going to be a force to be reckoned with in spring next year when they're competing for this QB1 job.
And that's what
Bryce going to be in. Bryce going to be in probably Atlanta, maybe Carolina. That's where Bryce will be.
I mean, looking at, and that's what I think keeps a lot around. I'm going to go back to you, Scott, on that. I don't think NIL isn't like. Let me find the better way to phrase it. I think I already stated it is needed. And it's changed the culture, is what I'm saying. I mean, you have players like Mike McCoy, who anybody who remembers Mike McCoy, I barely
number
remember
80.
him, but I do know.
I remember Mike McCoy. A lot of bark, no bite. But go ahead.
Yeah, but you have him and Marquise Mays. Like everybody jokes on them. They're like, oh, they barely put up any stats. Well, guess what? Look back at college football back then.
That offense was way different when Marquise Mays was around and Mike McCoy was around. I mean, that was JPW and that group. Greg McElroy. I think Mike McCoy was around that time.
And that's the thing on that too. I think, and it's also, but I'm coming back around to it. The positive side of it is why I think. Let me change what I was going to say. Dad thinks that Saban will be out in 2 to 3 years. I am more hopeful. See that. I would say I hope not. I hope, but we'll see. The only reason he stays around because of how damn good the recruiting is right now, and that how good we're doing, and
also
NIL money. Oh yeah.
Also the scratch. No, his scratch.
His scratch and that money.
Yeah, he's making bank.
Yeah.
I mean, NIL, like, the problem with it is they just kind of threw it out. Like, they literally just said, yeah, we're going to play players now.
Agreed. I think they should have made it a foundation of something.
That really benefits anyone.
Yeah.
Outside of the major programs that already have the resources. Like, recruiting hasn't changed that much. Like, yeah, A&M went from 8 to 1, but they're still recruiting in the top 10 every year.
Yeah. I was about to say, but A&M always was in the top 10.
I think NIL is going to change soon in the near future, very quickly.
There's got to be some regulation on it.
There's got to be some rules put around it. The NCAA or whatever they did that approved it they screwed up by not putting some type of governance around it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like they woke up and just said, fuck it. Give them money.
Yeah. You guys do whatever you want to do. And then Saban was like, you don't want me to go out there having free reign. I'm just telling you. You might want to put some rules around it. And they're like, it's fine. So he's like, okay, I'm telling you. Same thing with the transfer portal. Remember Saban was like, probably not a good idea because you don't want me going on free agent frenzy in college football. And they're like, no, it's only fair. So he said, all right, I tried to tell you. But, here we go. Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Steen, even though he's been okay this year. But still, like, you're letting Nick Saban go out and cherry pick every other team's best players? Like, I was going to say Eli Ricks in there. Don't! Too soon.
Tyler Harrell. Don't!
Tyler Harrell. Don't!
One thing I will say, and I saw this on Twitter, so I'm gonna preface.
You got to preface it. You got to preface it.
I've seen on Twitter from like Bama insiders and their actual media members, which might rub you the wrong way, might not. I don't know, but they've said that Ricks has looked really good in practice.
Why can't he get on the field? That's so weird. This is the weirdest thing.
They're speculating that he's having trouble grasping the defense.
That's my thought.
He's a man-to-man quarterback. He's a man.
Bingo.
Why does he need a playbook? Line him up against their number one. Keep him there all game. Don't just shut
You're telling me that Eli Ricks couldn't have done anything better than Helms, Branch, or Moore on number 11 on Saturday?
Yeah. And Arnold.
I mean, like, it's like after 11's fourth touchdown, I'd have been like, you know what? Screw it. Throw him in there. See if you can cover this guy.
Wild card.
Yeah. We can't cover him any other way. Put Ricks in. Say shadow him. Try it. Screw it. Try it. Nothing else is working. Try it.
Yeah. I mean, he needs to see the field, I think.
Good catch, Stanton. Sorry, Stanton made a great catch in the field. Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. No. I mean, I'm pretty much done. I just think from my Twitter sources, I think he deserves to be on the field. They just need to give him the opportunity.
Just try it. You can't get any worse than what you saw Saturday, so why not? That's my whole point with this. I'm like,
this weekend would be great, too, because...
Great time to do it. Air raid's coming to town.
4 or 5 receivers on the field at all times. Get him out there. Put him in a low-leverage situation and see what he can do.
I don't care that he is having trouble learning the defense. Homeboy had 200 yards and 5 touchdowns on 6 catches. Throw all it out the window. Give me the best athlete I have on my defense in the secondary and put him on number 11 and say, everywhere he goes, you go. And if you see his eyes get big, tackle him. Because give me a 15-yard penalty other than a 75-yard touchdown.
I was going to say that too. If now we're actually now the most penalized team in the country, we're 131 out of 131. Let's actually go and actually earn them now. How about?
I don't want to hear crap from anybody about Bama doesn't get any calls on them. This is 2 games this year. We've had over 15 penalties called on us. We're the most penalized team in the country. I don't want to hear that from anybody. That all we do is that we that we never get penalties called.
Next rant. Quit screenshotting still shots and circling shit. And then bitching about it for a week on Twitter. When there's no context, and they saw someone holding pads, still shot, just holding pads. He could have done that for a second. There's no way the ref's seen it. Shut up.
I know, right?
Sit on your hands. Leave me alone.
I love Twitter that does that. The screenshot circle are awesome.
Don't forget the red arrows that point at it, too, just in case you didn't see it,
Some of them, it's like, Jesus Christ, it was a 49-0 game. Why are you even circling that?
Yeah.
That doesn't care.
So, and here's something else I'm fixing to burn on. Can we stop with the kick returns? Please. 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 Can we stop with the kick returns? It's either a block in the back or we get tackled on the 15. It's the worst play that we do, and we run it out every freaking time. Although the second half of Saturday, they finally started just letting the ball bounce and taking it at the 25, which I've been screaming at the top of my lungs every game I watch that Kool-Aid runs the kick out, gets blown up on the 15-yard line, and then we get a flag for blocking the back and march it back. Next thing you know, it's 1st and 10 from the 5. And I'm like, enough! After the Jalen Waddle injury on a kick return, where obviously we didn't need it that year, I mean, they could have just run out of bounds at the 1-yard line, and we would have scored 90% of every play. I've been done with these kickoffs after Waddle went down with his injury on a useless kickoff return. Useless. Completely useless. Give me Bryce at the 25. I'll take that every time over the small chance that will break a kick return for good field position. Give me Bryce at the 25 every time. I like my chances. 100% of the time.
I mean, Gibbs had a nice return, too, and it was still only the 31.
Yeah. No, and then they get blown up. That's just what I need is Kool-Aid getting concussed on a kick return and then us losing our best cornerback. That's really what I need.
He's the only one right now that's
Now, punt returns a different story. Punt returns, yes. You need to have a punt returner and try to get field position on a punt return, in my opinion. But kick returns, there should be nobody back there to receive it. Or the guy back there, as soon as the ball leaves his foot.
That's why the rules are in place. It's literally to stop them.
Yes.
Like,
and we're the worst kickoff returning team ever. Not in terms of yards, in terms of penalties. Because every kick return, we get a flag for blocking the back or a legal block. Almost every single one of them. I can't remember the last one we did where we did not get a flag. And I'm like, even when we cheat, we can only get to the 15-yard line. If you're going to block somebody in the back, at least spring them for 50 yards.
Yeah. Let's give our guy.
I can't stand that kick return. I can't stand it. It never, ever, nothing ever good comes of it. Ever. Kenyon Drake was the last good thing that came off a kick return. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You might drink. I can't stand a kickoff return. But like this team is so undisciplined. They get in their own way so many times, and then you look up and 17 penalties, 3 turnovers taken away by crap bag bot referees, and it's a tie game at 49.
What gets me is, 17 penalties isn't okay in any game, but it's the penalties we're getting. I mean,
right.
How many false starts do we have? The whole
and unsportsmanlike conducts for taunting or some crap like that. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
That's just mental discipline.
Just the dumbest stuff. It's
dumb.
I actually need to look how many false starts we've had. Because
I said that Saturday when I was watching the game with my family. I was like, we are the dumbest team in terms of playing the football game. We are the dumbest team. We do the dumbest stuff in terms of just playing the football game.
It was what, like 17 penalties first quarter? Like,
we had 8 penalties in the first quarter. 8.
I thought it was more than that, like 15, wasn't it?
Not in the first quarter, no.
Oh, okay.
17.
Okay, yeah.
17 total penalties.
It was 17 for the game, but
and Tennessee
and Mavericks back.
Or they had like 3 total.
They had 6 total for like 30 yards. We had 17 for 150 or 130. 130 yards. That's 2 touchdown drives
for Tennessee.
That's 2 touchdown drives. Not to mention the 3 turnovers we had that got taken away from us. How do you take away 3 turnovers? It's unbelievable. No, it's actually believable because it's BS because the fix was in.
The fix was.
Yeah, capital F.
Listen, I'm coming.
Take away 3 turnovers. Get out of here.
I'm speaking this into existence. I think, they got UT Martin. Tennessee does this weekend for homecoming, which loser game. Why are you playing?
Ty Simpson's dad's the coach.
Yeah, I saw.
Well, he's going to be the losing coach.
They want to beat him by 100 because Ty Simpson or Coach Simpson's son's in the Crimson Tide. Well, they got to go to they play Kentucky. They play Kentucky. I think it's a home game for them. They play Kentucky before going to Georgia. That's a nice little trap. They're going to be riding that Bama. They're going to be riding that Bama win all year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Heupel will get a $100 million contract extension based off that win. Once again, add Tennessee to the list of losers that storm the field because that's what losers do. Loser mentality. They storm the field.
Kentucky's helping too.
Add them to that list. Yeah, they burned it all out here. Although they busted LSU's ass when I was there too, and that was the week before the Bama game. So they didn't seem to.
Think the Tennessee Georgia game is going to go.
Tennessee can beat anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
They can't stop anyone. They can't stop a nosebleed. That was proven. But they can score at will on anybody, and it'll be a good game. They can beat Georgia. There's no doubt they can beat Georgia.
Definitely looks human after Mizzou and Kent State.
Yeah.
And Bennett thinks he's hot shit now apparently, and
yeah.
Kirby Smart will have them ready though.
Yeah,
they'll be ready. And he'll look at that Bama film and go, you know what? I'm not going to put my fourth best DB on number 11. I'm going to scheme to take him out. I'm going to roll some coverage over to help. I'm going to take him out of the game like Bill Belichick does, which is what I thought we would have done once we realized we cannot cover this guy. We cannot cover this guy. So how about we don't run man-to-man coverage on him anymore? How about we double him and make Hooker throw to somebody else? No? Okay, fine. 5 touchdowns later, 200 yards. No problem. Anyway. We got the air raid Saturday and Mike Leach. At least it's at home. Get a home game. I have no idea what to expect now. Will we respond? Will we, grab our sack and say, that's it. That's our loss for this year. We want Tennessee again, and we're going to win out and make sure if we get to see them again, we're going to be in the SEC championship game. It's a win-win for us because we get Georgia or Tennessee. One of those two will be in it. We both know that, or all 4 of us know it'll be either Tennessee or Georgia in Atlanta. So we have all the more reason to want to get to that game because we got unfinished business with both those schools, with both of them. Now, can this team grab its sack and do that? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. We got it raw talent. We had no business being anywhere near winning that game. But Bryce and just the raw talent we have, not talking about all the stupid mental errors that we make every game, but the talent's there. That was proven. Even Ja'Cory Brooks is starting to win me over.
Props to Bryce. I'm so glad he didn't get injured. I was so worried about that.
Yeah.
Tennessee did everything they could to injure that kid. And fucking Gary was popping a
dirtbags. God, Gary was loving it. Gary Danielson was loving it.
He's going to feel that tomorrow. Oh, shut the fuck up, Gary.
Yeah, Gary was loving it, man. Remember that year Rocky block? Remember when Terrence Cody blocked that field goal? And Gary Danielson was on the broadcast going, I don't want to be a curmudgeon, but it should be a penalty on him for taking off his helmet. That should be a penalty. Tennessee should have the ball. Tennessee should get another play. That's all Gary was talking about during that whole celebration after Cody blocked that kick.
5 more weeks with them. You never have to hear that point.
I thought it was at the end of next year. CBS was rolling off.
I thought it started.
I hope you're right, Scott, but I thought it was the 24 season when ABC took over SEC. I could be wrong, though. Do we have any confirmation on that?
What are your Twitter sources?
It is 2023.
It is next year? ABC takes over next year?
But the Big Ten's deal with CBS starts next year, too. So now it's in limbo. No one really knows. So
good. Let Gary go call it Big Ten games.
Yeah.
Give me. Enjoy
the cold winters, Gary.
Gilly.
I actually think I'm okay with Brad. I like Brad growing up.
I like Nessler. I do like Brad Nessler.
I have no problem with him. I mean, he just tells it how it is. Unfortunately, Gary's the lead guy. So
he needed to replace Vern. Vern needed to go, and so I was happy when Nessler got that job. He's good. But Danielson, it's driving me nuts.
He doesn't shut up. He sits there and states the obvious. He argues with Gene Steratore all the time. It's like, shut your damn mouth.
Gene Steratore. I can't stand that. They're like, Gene, what do you think? Is it first or second down? And then Gene will come on for 10 minutes.
He'll be like, I don't know about that. I think Ben's got a work on there.
Yeah.
And it'll be like Missouri and Arkansas playing.
Jesus Christ.
Change your script, man.
Change your script up, Gary. That's last week's script. Hang on. What's it?
Kick 6. Kick 6. All right.
Kick 6.
Do you know I had somebody come up to me in the bar on Saturday, some fan, and he goes, man, it's like I wish it was back to Kick 6 days. I was like, dude, that was like 10 years ago.
You'll be in your goddamn grave.
You're living on one play for 10 years.
That's all right. They don't even care they lost the championship that year. They just beat Bama, so that's all.
They should have won.
They should have beaten Florida State. And because of Dunce Malzahn, now Jumbo Fisher has a championship ring. and $100 million in the bank. All because of that idiot Malzahn.
Who's the winner of that right now? A&M or UCF? We'll never know.
UCF but to hire Scott Frost back. Don't too soon. Hey-oh.
And Waterboy.
Guys, I wish FSU would have beaten Clemson. I fucking hate those people.
I don't like Clemson either. Florida State can never win that game, though.
Yeah.
No, they're turning it on. I wasn't big on DJ, but, if their defense is top 10. But, we'll see. Yeah, I agree this week. It's going to be something to see. Are we going to be able to respond? Kind of like what Jeff said. I don't know for the rest of the season. I'm not losing faith in the Tide. I'll never lose faith in the Tide. But we've got to make some changes. If not, Bama fans, I'm sorry. We might be looking at another loss or two. We just got to bear down here and grab on and pray that some changes are going to happen, or else it's going to be a long end of the season.
Before we sign off, what's y'all's predictions for Saturday? Mississippi State in Tuscaloosa. Air raid coming to town.
I think we win 38-14.
Oh wow, you got a dominant performance coming.
Yeah.
We've shut them down the past 2 years. Mike Leach, love him. Read his book. Kind of cheer for them on the side. Their run defense is terrible. I think we're going to own the time of possession. Will Rogers is going to play. They might throw for 300 yards, but he's going to have 60 attempts. A lot of their passing game too is short passes.
Okay.
Getting past the sticks.
Yeah.
Redown offense. They're not stretching the field. They're not going for explosive plays. So. Yeah.
Well, they're going to throw it 50 or 60 times, so it just depends on which strategy, which secondary, which scheme we draw up for them. But like you said, Fonzie, we've handled them pretty well in the past couple of years, but we'll see how Saturday goes. Of course, we haven't never been coming off getting our ass kicked by Tennessee either. So Saban's never had to get a team ready coming off a loss to Tennessee.
Crazy stat though, and we've played Mississippi State 5 times after a loss in Nick Saban's tenure, and we've outscored them by some ridiculous margin.
That's right.
They don't even have 100 points in that span over 5 games. So.
Let's hope it continues. I think
it's not a road game, at least.
No, it's in Tuscaloosa, the quietest 100,000 seat stadium in the SEC. But anyway. I think we'll win. I think we bounce back, and I think we'll win 41-31. I think we'll give up some points.
Fair.
What about you, Murph?
I think we just play Milrow all the way. Just let go, Bryce. Let him flutter away.
Let him flutter away. Maverick, you back there? You got something on your mind?
This weekend coming in. Air raid offense, as you said. They're top 5 passing in the country as far as that goes.
They can sling it now.
42-21. We'll go with the 42-21. I think Bryce gets it done. I think Jameer gets it done on the ground. He has over 120 yards rushing, and he has at least 60 yards receiving and 1 touchdown each, receiving and running. So there's that. That's a bold prediction, but I'm going to go with it. So,
well, I can see that. I can see that. Gut check time for this team.
Yeah.
We really should have lost about 3 games. We should have lost to Texas A&M, and Tennessee. So we really should have 3 losses. But the fact that this team can be that undisciplined and that poor and that dumb in terms of just playing the game, and still should be undefeated, if we didn't get screwed on Saturday umpteen times. But the fact that this team should still be 7-0 or even to 6-1 despite all those issues, that says something about the team.
Yeah, I would say during Tennessee it was almost impressive.
Yeah,
it was that close.
Like to play that bad and should have won that game. Like that game was won. We gave that game away. That game was won, and that was the worst game I've seen us play in 15 years.
Exactly.
So, we'll see. We'll see. So, we'll see what it is. But, fellas, it's been a good time. It's been a good burn session on the problems we have with that Tennessee game. We didn't talk about anything that we liked, which in a game like that, you just got to fill the airway with the stuff you didn't like. So, but we got Mississippi State coming up Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. I expect a big bounce-back game from the Tide. This will be the first time we've ever coming off a loss to Tennessee since Nick Saban's been there. So this is uncharted waters. I think we'll respond. We've always responded well to a loss under Nick Saban. So I hope that this team's no different. That this was the wake-up call we needed to kind of like, whoa, all right, we can't. We're in playoff mode now. Win or go home now for the rest of the season. So we'll see what we got. We'll see what kind of moxie this team has. Can they grab their sack and do it, or are we just going to fold? So we'll see. But I'll be there every step of the way. So, guys, thanks for coming on the show again. Parker, Fonzie, Murph, appreciate that from AWS Podcast. I appreciate you guys coming on and burning on some Bama football on a crappy weekend that we had. So here's to more wins coming up. Appreciate everybody joining us. Those of you joined us in the chat, those of you who joined us online, appreciate it again. Those of you watch whenever you watch, if anybody watches, just want to say thanks. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we'll be talking about a big win over the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Guns out.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
It's that.